New Zealand lies in the southwest Pacific, and while most people know it for its breathtaking mountains, unique wildlife, and even hobbit homes, there's a much bigger secret hiding beneath. Believe it or not, New Zealand actually sits on the edge of a hidden continent, a landmass that is about 94% underwater. Imagine that what we see above the ocean today is only the tip of something far larger, a sunken continent nearly half the size of Australia. Scientists call it Zealandia, a massive drowned continent stretching from New Zealand all the way to New Caledonia. This underwater world is filled with mountain ranges, valleys, and geological features that clearly mark it as a continent. But here's the surprising part. A continent doesn't have to be above water to count. What matters is the type of crust it's made of. Unlike the thin, heavy crust under oceans, continents rest on thicker, lighter, and much older crust. Zealandia fits that definition perfectly. Even though most of it is submerged, it still has basins, fault lines, and fossils showing that it once held forests, animals, and life on land. In fact, during the time of the dinosaurs, large portions of Zealandia stood above sea level. So how did we discover something so huge that we couldn't even see? The answer lies in technology. Satellites capable of detecting subtle shifts in Earth's gravity helped reveal Zealandia's hidden outline. Sonar mapping showed underwater mountains and valleys in 3D detail, and deep-sea drilling brought up ancient rocks and land fossils from beneath the seafloor. Undeniable evidence of a continent now underwater. It wasn't until the early 2000s that enough data convinced scientists to start calling it a continent. And in 2017, Zealandia was officially proposed as one. Finally, in 2023, after years of research and mapping, Zealandia became the first nearly fully submerged continent ever to be charted in detail. But why did it sink in the first place? Millions of years ago, all land on Earth was part of a supercontinent called Pangaea. When it split, the southern half became Gondwana, which included present-day South America, Africa, Antarctica, Australia, India, and Zealandia. Around 85 million years ago, Zealandia broke away, but its crust was thin and stretched, making it unstable. Over time, tectonic forces dragged much of it downward, leaving only the highest peaks, like modern-day New Zealand, above the ocean's surface. And just like New Zealand's land animals are unique, Zealandia's underwater world is just as special. Deep valleys and ridges are home to thousands of marine species found nowhere else on Earth. From unusual flat-bodied fish that bury themselves in sand, to bizarre carnivorous sponges, to sea daisies that defy normal classification, this sunken continent is like an underwater laboratory of evolution. Even more fascinating, Zealandia hides active underwater volcanoes. One of the most famous is Brothers Seamount, northeast of New Zealand. Its bubbling vents, known as black smokers, release chemicals that fuel entire ecosystems without relying on sunlight. Here, bacteria use chemical energy instead of photosynthesis to survive, supporting strange creatures like tube worms and deep-sea shrimp in complete darkness. For scientists, Zealandia is more than just a sunken continent. It's a natural archive of Earth's history, a place to study geology, evolution, and even resources like metals hidden in the seafloor. So, does this mean New Zealand itself could sink like Zealandia did? Not really. Unlike Zealandia's thin crust, New Zealand sits on strong continental foundations, lifted up by tectonic collisions. In fact, parts of the land are slowly rising every year due to plate movements. Sure, it shakes with earthquakes and volcanic activity, but disappearing beneath the sea like Atlantis isn't likely even with rising sea levels. New Zealand's tallest point, Mount Aoraki, stands more than 12,000 feet above sea level. For the ocean to cover that, sea levels would need to rise by over 2 miles, something impossible under Earth's current conditions. So while Zealandia will remain underwater, New Zealand itself isn't going anywhere. The land of kiwis, glowworms, and sheep outnumbering humans will continue to stand tall, no swimming lessons required. If this sparked your curiosity, join us to subscribe, like, and dive deeper. Because the next great discovery could be just below our feet or the waves.